Everybody like the octopus? They're nice and like it? Nice and tender, isn't it? When it's cooked like that. So next, I'm going to make caponata for the burrata cheese. So we get this. We import it from Italy. There's a lot of American-made burratas and mozzarellas that you could buy, but I just think the Italians just taste better. Had it in Italy a few times, and then we've been buying the same distributor for like 20 years, and it's always flavorful and consistent. So we're serving a half of one, but they come like they look like little circles like that. You could serve a whole one if you wanted to, depending on what you're using it for. But it's mozzarella cheese, and they make it, and then they wrap it around chopped up mozzarella cheese that's mixed in with cream. So which is like they call it stracciatella. You could buy that now. It's kind of, you see it sometimes. It's kind of soupy, and you could dip bread in it and things. So it's similar to that, but this is wrapped inside. So we serve it. We use a half, and then I've got these beautiful little vegetables from the farm that we made this caponata out of. We've got nice little eggplants, or peppers. I've got some fennel, with spring onions again, and then her plum tomatoes, which I've peeled these. So dipped them, cut them, just sliced the skin, dipped them in hot water for about 30 seconds, and then ice water, and the skin comes right off. So this is a pretty simple dish to make, but you can make it ahead of time, and as it sits, it actually picks up a little more flavor. It's got capers and olives in it. So I'm going to just cut a few of these vegetables. They're setting up the plate, so there won't be so much time in between this time. And I'm just going to I'll make a little bit of this, but we've got a big batch I already made. And the recipe's there. These are tender. I don't take the skin off, and I don't have to soak them or salt them, I should say, because they're not bitter. And they take 30 minutes. This is cooked at the most. And I don't have there we go. Yeah, once we take it out, you'll see that you're gonna have there's the head, and then we'll take the beak part out, and then the body where it's attached, we just kind of cut between the tentacles, and all of that's usable. And you could actually use the head. We don't really use it, but there's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't go with the dish. So you cut it up. That's something you cut up and put in like tomato sauce, or just make a salad out of it, like julienne strips of octopus in a salad or something. Usually somebody ends up eating it, and it's because we don't end up putting it on the plates because it doesn't look good. So it's because it has different color. It's kind of gray. It doesn't have the same. It's not white in the center, but it tastes great. It's tender. I've tried a lot of American mozzarella cheeses, and they're just not the same. It's all the years we've been in business and been cooking. We get every year there's somebody bringing a product in that's just like what we're using, so whether it's tomatoes or cheese or fish or whatever, and it never is. But I have to go through the motions of tasting it and then telling them no, it's not the same. We only use one. We use one brand of tomatoes. It's called Stanislaus, and it's out of California, and it's a plum tomato, and they're the best tomatoes I've had. But I think better than San Marzano's because they have a lot more flavor. They ripen them. San Marzano's, when you taste them, people talk about that they're great, but they're not. There's not a lot of flavor. And the inexpensive tomatoes, if you use those are the ones that you have to put sugar in to give them any sweetness. They grow a Roma tomato, yeah, and it's in. No, not these, not for that. I'm just talking about in general. No, those tomatoes are from the farm. They're from here. I'm using fresh ones. If I was using If I wasn't using those fresh ones, I would be using their tomatoes. We use that for all of our tomato sauces and anything else that we're. So you could also put tomato sauce in this instead of tomatoes. If I didn't have these really nice plum tomatoes, I would be putting a spoon of our tomato, like fresh tasting tomato sauce in it, just to give it a little bit of tomato color and flavor.
What's your feeling about San Marzano tomatoes?
I like. I mean, we've used them for some dishes. They're different than the Stanislaus that are out of California. They're the closest I'm gonna say they're the closest to San Marzanos, but they're not because they're so much sweeter. They don't put sugar in them. I think they let them ripen. Plus, with San Marzanos, you got to make sure it's certified, and there's so many. There was a guy that I knew was bringing in tomatoes with no labels, canned, and putting a label, just making up an Italian name, putting them on them. It ends up they were coming from China, or it's a lot of them, and the counterfeit ones are from China. They'll put the same label as in Italy and put them on it.
What was the name of the tomatoes? If you'd like to spell it.
The brand is Stanislaus, Stanislaus. That was a old family name there in California. I think you could buy them like now that there's Restaurant Depot has them. Cheney sells, I think that Cheney Brothers has a place now that you can go in, as individual, and they have a big room full of a lot of things. I think they have them, but they don't sell them in Publix or anything. You'd have to buy a number 10 can, but that's really not that much. It's only 100 ounces, so it's only equal to four cans, like normal size cans, from a grocery store. But you really would you could tell the difference when you cook with them. They taste good as soon as you start it. Sometimes when you make tomato sauce and you let it keep cooking, hoping it's going to taste better after you cook it for a little longer with all the meat and everything in it. Well, yeah, you put sugar in, right. These tomatoes taste good after 5 minutes. You cook the onions and garlic first, and then you put these tomatoes, stir it in with your seasoning, and it already started to taste good. And it gets better as it cooks, but it really tastes great. And it is the ingredients that make such a big difference. And your recipes could be good, but if you're starting with an ingredient that's inferior or just not that flavorful, you can't hide it. You can't cover it up. So we try to buy the best ingredients we can get, the best Reggiano cheese from Italy. I went there a couple years ago and went to the facility where they make the Reggiano Parmesan. And this Gennaro is the brand. And they have their own cows, and it's fully automated, except it's by hand. Like they mix the curd. They've got these things that are stirring it, and they split it. It weighs 160 pounds. They split it into 80-pound wheels, and then it goes like down the conveyor. But their cheese, we got substituted last week from our vendor. I tasted the cheese, and I said, it doesn't taste the same. And I found the label, and it was a different one. I should have took a bite of it because the Gennaro is nutty. It's 24 month aged, so it really has a distinct flavor. But this was 24 month aged too. But to me, it just tasted like American. It tastes like American Parmesan, even though it was from Italy. But it's just not the same. Not that there's anything wrong with our cheeses. It's just not the same. This one is cow's milk. The mozzarella is water buffalo for the buffalo mozzarella. These are cow's milk. And the mozzarella we use is the buffalo that we get. All right, and I got the tomatoes. All right, I don't waste all this time cutting here. So this caponata is like a French ratatouille. It's kind of the same type of dish, except that we have some black olives and some capers, a little more garlic, but it's kind of similar. And you can also serve it. We're serving it kind of warm, room temperature, but you could chill it and serve it like a condiment. Put more vinegar in it and really just keep it in your refrigerator for a few weeks at least. So I'm going to just start with some olive oil and saute this. I just need my garlic. A couple garlic cloves. Have you guys heard about the Chinese garlic scandal? So we make sure we buy peeled garlic. We don't buy the already chopped or anything. We used to buy the whole garlic, but it takes too long to crush it. So I don't know how many years ago, a company started peeling it and bagging it. So it's gotten, everyone has it now. So I didn't know about this. I heard about it, but we've always ordered and asked for California garlic instead of getting now it's coming from China. So there was so you got to look at what you buy, because actually it was the governor, I think it was in Florida, was banning it because it's grown in very unsanitary conditions and it's bleached and to get it white, and they package it, and sometimes it'll say packaged in California or packaged in somewhere, but it doesn't tell you exactly where it's comes from. But it's and I could tell the difference from that too, because you open it up and it just almost knocks you out because it's so strong. The flavor, and it's an odd, really almost acidic flavor that yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I don't think it grows in Florida. No, it's mostly California and up north. Yeah, but I don't think it grows down here. All right, I'm going to take this back by the stove. All right, I've got some olive oil in the pan, and I want to use a wide bottom pan for this, because I want the vegetables to get sautéed instead of boiled. And if you put it in a small pan and you stack it up, you're going to have it's just going to be like a boiled mush. So I get the olive oil pretty hot. I don't want to burn it because olive oil has a low burning point. So just get it till it'll just start sizzling these vegetables. And I'll put them in, and then I'll put the garlic in, kind of make sure that it is on the bottom also, because I don't like raw garlic flavor. So I make sure that the garlic gets cooked but doesn't get burned. And the other way is it comes a nice mellow flavor, but you can have all the flavors in it, but they don't. Nothing is overpowering. So I put like that, spread it out a little bit. There we go, like so. Look at that. I just keep tossing it, stir it a little bit every once in a while. I've got some basil and parsley. I'm going to make a little spot in the middle here for the garlic. And if it looks a little dry, so I'm going to add a little more of the olive oil. Put a little more, I like to put olive oil right on the garlic, so it's, oh, come on, there we go. Stir that in. Then I'll just leave that right in the center there to cook, and then I can see that it's cooked through. Then I'll mix it in. Otherwise, let it go like that. All right. So that's going to take 3-4 minutes, like that. And then I'm going to add the tomatoes, and then I'll season it with salt and pepper, let it cook for about 10 more minutes, and you'll get what you're going to have to eat right now. So I'm going to help them start serving it as this is. So we're going to top this with some, so this one's going to have some Tuscan olive oil and a little bit of balsamic glaze and some basil over the top of it. Let's put this one first. I'm gonna start making the short ribs while you're finishing up.